Did it go?
No. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we're live. No pomp and circumstance today.
Nope.
And we're back. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Well, the White House is live, so, and I'm assuming he will be late. Are you guys seeing the feed?
Yeah, we got it.
Cool. Yeah. So when did this news break? Do we know? I just kind of woke up and saw a text from you, Steve, and then just popped on X and saw.
When I woke up at about 5 a.m. Eastern, it was already everywhere. So
this was like a middle of the night operation then.
Over there, it probably would have been early evening, but yeah.
Let's see, what's the time difference in Venezuela?
Because it was definitely dark in all the pictures I saw.
So Grok is under heavy usage right now. Would you like to upgrade? No.
What was the question?
I was just wondering what the time difference is.
In Venezuela?
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. I'm guessing it's Central Time, but I don't know. Actually, they go according to Bolivarian time, which is
it says 3 hours ahead of the United States, but I guess that if you live in the United States, okay, let's see.
Well, Puerto Rico is an hour ahead of Eastern.
What?
Yeah, Puerto Rico celebrated their New Year's at 11 o'clock because they don't know what they're doing.
Aren't they more central than the Eastern?
No, they're up to the side of Florida.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
So it's 2 to 3 hours ahead of Colorado. So it sounds like it's kind of similar time to where you are, Steve.
Well, I'm looking it up right. It's got to be later than that because isn't it?
Oh,
It's in South America, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So it's kind of like down,
I'm
down
an idiot.
south.
I was thinking it was over like in Europe, that area.
Venezuela.
Listen, our cartographer, I am not. You'll notice I have no atlases on the walls.
Get a Goat and Go is joining us. Good morning. And I woke up at 3 a.m. and got the news. Nice early surprise to see you here. Yeah. What's up, Goat?
Good morning, brother.
So is Maduro's on a ship right now? Okay, that's what's so crazy about this is like how easy was it for us to take Maduro? Like how much of a joke was his security?
Did you I don't know if you saw any of the videos, but there's videos of the skies above Venezuela on, I don't want to say on fire because that's hyperbolic, but it was definitely not an operation where we just kind of snuck in the middle of the night either.
Did we do some weather modification or something?
I honestly don't know.
With Trump, it's got to be a show. There's got to be some sort of explosions. He probably had Michael Bay in as a consultant for the operation.
Instead of Stanley Kubrick because he's dead, he got Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Since Kubrick's gone, unfortunately, we're stuck with Michael Bay.
I going back to my time in high school, I feel unprepared. I didn't do my homework. I probably should have researched this a bit. But
no, we're researching live. What's what questions do you have? What should we figure out?
Well, Adrian was asking what happened in Venezuela. Like, how did we take him?
Yeah,
I have seen footage of explosions and stuff like that. I think we were seeing it there while we were setting up. So I imagine we probably had a little bit of a firestorm to get around his guard.
Find it while we're waiting for Trump. Trump is fashionably late.
I mean,
when you're a multi-billionaire, you can afford to be.
Yeah.
If this is all that it is, that has to be the easiest regime change I've ever seen in modern history.
Well, I would agree that it's the easiest one we've seen because a lot of them we have no idea that we had a part in.
Well, there's that. Yeah. I mean, like on the world stage that like
Yeah, no, I know.
I was pretty concerned it was going to break down into like a Libya situation. I think a lot of my concerns about Venezuela is like I don't want more refugees coming here.
Yeah.
Because usually that's what happens. Like when the left gets back in power, if the country's in shit show, then they'll just be like, "Well, let's bring in more Venezuelans." But
according to Goat, China isn't too happy.
So China. This is what I mean. That's what I've been saying. Is this is what the whole thing is about, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is China.
Here's the first, here's the first video that I found.
No sé si fue un barco.
Man, I can't even speak English.
Gotta get some subtitles here. So there's one of them. There was a couple other videos as well. I'll keep looking for them, and I'll keep an eye on this one here, the White House stream.
Was this guy just on the coast? Like, what was he? Shouldn't he be in a bunker in the interior jungle of Venezuela or some shit? I don't even know if there's a jungle. I assume there is.
So that's a good question.
I'm not really for regime change, but I think in this situation with the drug boats, and there was the talk of the hot war, boots on the ground, soldiers, I would prefer this route over that.
I would prefer this route over an invasion. Yeah, because I like I said, I was concerned about a Libya situation, or like I mean, I guess we didn't really invade Libya, but I didn't want a prolonged kind of thing.
Well, yeah, no, that's
you can make the argument with Monroe Doctrine to say like, yeah, we should just control our hemisphere so we can do what we want. But the old libertarian in me is still very conflicted about the whole thing. So
yeah, I think if we can get a show of power that kind of shows people like Putin and shows, the leadership in China, like, hey, this president isn't messing around. It gives more credibility to, when Trump says, hey, don't mess with us, or stop, expanding, or, hey, if you're going to, mistreat your people or something like that, or if you're going to rig all your elections, stuff like that. I think it's a good way to get a show of power that gives credibility to Trump's threats. So I like that, but
well,
as far as getting us involved in some foreign war that's going to cost trillions of dollars and last 20 years, I'm definitely against that.
I saw something this morning. I'll throw it up here while we're waiting. I think this may be a big part of it.
What's that? You can. Do you want me to get rid of the White House? I'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, just let me know if it goes, and we'll.
In office, it's from the time Trump's been in office. Deaths by overdose have dropped off a cliff. Look at that. Look at 2024, and leading into 2025. Look at down. These are all deaths from overdoses. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Like, look at that. From all drugs, which is the top one, look at that drop. I mean, that's crazy. So you see the peak was in 2022, or it looks like actually 2020, between 2023 and 2024. That's the peak where people are dying. And then from the time Trump's in office, it's taking a fucking sharp downturn. And why is that? Well, part of it is because they're blowing up these fucking boats that are bringing in all the drugs. And not just drugs, but drugs that are tainted with fentanyl.
I have some information here. Says the capture was announced by President Donald Trump on Truth Social, stating that forces successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, and that Maduro, along with his wife, Celia Flores, had been captured and flown out of the country. Multiple reports confirm that elite U.S. Army Delta Force operators conducted the raid, dragging the couple from their bedroom where they were sleeping inside a heavily fortified residence at the Fuerte Tiuna military complex in Caracas. They were then transported by helicopter to the USS Iwo Jima, Navy warship in the Caribbean, before being taken toward New York to face federal charges. Interesting. So what are the charges?
Did you guys hear that he was saying yesterday that he was willing to make a deal? Maduro was?
No.
I did hear rumblings that he was ready to talk.
Yeah, well, I saw something on X and I was like, "Oh man, this means that he knows he's fucked."
Yeah.
And then literally the next day, like, he had to have known.
Yeah,
they don't pull this off without inside info too. Obviously, like they had to have had people on the inside. In my opinion,
yeah, without a doubt, they sent Chuck Norris after him. But
yeah, got to keep those Delta guys sharp, you know.
The charges are clearly going to be drug related, like Rogan was saying.
Yeah,
the drug boats, the trying to circumvent U.S. Circumvent our laws, and not in their own country. They were trying to circumvent our laws here.
Yeah,
sneaking their garbage in, getting everybody on their side. I do think it's interesting that they're bringing him to New York City with Mamdani in charge now. That's an interesting situation.
Goat says he offered everything, and Trump said yes. He knows not to fuck with America. In regards to making a deal or something, or what kind of deal could? I mean, the deal needs to be: I'm going to vacate my position of power, and I'm going to what's the deal? Step down and stop sending drugs. Stop sending fentanyl across our border. Is that the deal?
That would have to be part of it. But then he would just claim ignorance. But you were saying earlier, he was saying that he was going to back up narco terrorists and cartels. And I don't know. I imagine what he did was he said he was going to surrender today, like some big public thing where he, all come in, and they just went and got him the night before.
And Michael Bay was like, no, that's not theatrical. We need to go in there. We need some explosions.
God, haven't you even seen Transformers? I made Shia LaBeouf interesting. We'll be taking.
Hey, don't you go down this route. We're gonna have a debate then. Like, apparently, you're not a LaBeouf fan.
I'm not a fan of him. I'm a fan of the entertaining things that happen around him.
Are you saying he will not divide us? The whole fiasco, that was pretty hilarious, dude.
That was so good. I mean, the guy I think he's a genius. I think he's a great performance artist, and I think he's. Have you ever seen the movie Fury?
No.
He's great in that movie with Brad Pitt and Michael Pena and Shia LaBeouf. That movie's great. Watch that movie if you need a war movie.
I think outside of Transformers, the only Shia LaBeouf movie I've seen is Disturbia. And
the movie's great.
It's okay. Don't get silly.
Hey, what about Indiana Jones? Oh, wait, hold on. We got to pull out the sound effects for that one.
All right, I know I'm in the minority opinion, of course, like always. I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think it was great. And I like Shia LaBeouf in it.
But I won't lie, I've never seen it. So
did anyone see the last one, the next one after that? Because I definitely did.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Was it bad?
Well, I grew up on those films. Like, I was like 10 years old when I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I just love those movies so much. So it is unfortunate to see Disney kind of, I don't know. They ruin everything they touch, But I thought the movie was still somewhat entertaining. But I'm the type of person that has like low expectations, and so I'm willing to be entertained as long as they don't put like a bunch of gay stuff in there, like that 15-minute coming out scene in Stranger Things.
Oh man, I haven't watched Stranger Things in a couple seasons, and I'm glad because I just saw that clip and I was like, oh my god, they're about to go like
fabulous.
Of course. Are you surprised that it's Netflix? That's why I'm so against Netflix buying Warner Brothers.
Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, they're gonna
And-
redo scenes from Tony Soprano to make his son gay or something.
Aquaman is already gay enough. He doesn't need help.
Weren't they going to buy Paramount though too? That's the one I'm really against because I like what Paramount does.
Paramount's trying to buy Warner Brothers.
Have you been watching season 2 of Landman though? Like, what the fuck is going on with this? It's so bad.
We were just watching it the past couple of days. We saved it up because we loved the first season, and this season is horrible.
Yeah, how much? Yeah, the scenes with the son, like what? This is so unnecessary with his girlfriend.
We hate the girlfriend. Me and Yoli, we hate the girlfriend with a passion of 1,000 suns. We're just like yelling at the fucking screen because we hate her so much. Yeah. She's horrible. It's like the worst character. And then I find myself, I'm getting mad at the son because the son is like going along with it. You know, he's being like he's being cuckified.
Yeah.
You know, and then I find myself getting mad at the people who are writing the show because I'm like, how are you what are you thinking writing such an unlikable character? It's pretty bold, actually. Bold move to write such an unlikable piece of shit character. She's horrible. I'm like waiting for something to happen. Like, I hope he breaks up with her and she like has a dark spiral arc or something.
Okay. Does anyone
set her up to be the bad guy?
Does anyone have Signal on their computer?
Yeah.
Because I just sent the what's her name?
Oh,
the opposition leader Machado has just released a statement. I figured.
Okay.
I'm kind of mealy mouthed in the morning, so I figured maybe I'd let one of yins hop on it.
Let's see. Well, I don't speak Spanish.
Is it in Spanish?
Her statement is, yeah. But it says Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado celebrated the U.S. capture of dictator Nicolas Maduro Saturday, saying in her first public comment, "The hour of freedom has arrived. The time has come," quote, "the time has come for popular sovereignty and national sovereignty to govern our country. We will restore order, free the political prisoners, build an exceptional country, and bring our children back home," Machado wrote in a statement. But yeah, it's kind of a long statement. It's all in Spanish.
Okay, but so basically she's very for it. She's celebrating the sovereignty.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say anything that's going to get me sued and I lose all $10 in my bank account. But let's not forget that Dominion was a Venezuelan company.
You know, that is something that Joe has been talking about. And again, it definitely, like, if we're able to do it in a clean way, and then somehow Venezuela is a functional country within our sphere, and then we expose the Dominion stuff, I mean,
that could be part of it.
It doesn't seem like the worst case scenario, but we'll just I'm just gonna wait and see mode right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, Smartmatic is, that's right.
Smartmatic. Are they connected?
I believe that's the operating system that runs on Dominion, or the logistics end of it. Dominion makes the machine itself, if I remember correctly. But
Smartmatic is the software that runs on the machine.
Yeah.
So Dominion Voting Systems was originally founded in Toronto, Canada. Oh, God. In 2002 by John Paulos and James Hoover. It started as a Canadian company with its name inspired by the Dominion Elections Act. Not sure what that is. Over time, it expanded significantly into the U.S. market, establishing a major presence and moving its primary/effective headquarters to Denver, Colorado, where it maintained offices often described as U.S. headquarters. The company itself, or the company described itself as a U.S. company based in Denver, Colorado, in various statements, while also maintaining operations and offices in Toronto. It provided election hardware and software primarily in the United States and Canada. Let's see. Tell me about Smartmatic.
While you're looking that up, if there's anyone left that doesn't believe that if you control the means of voting, you control who wins, like you're not living in reality.
Yeah. Let's see. Get a goat and go says new owner of Dominion is the main one used in America.
Someone just said that. Yeah.
They just purchased Dominion, who is a Trump ally. Okay, so Smartmatic is a multinational technology company specializing in electronic voting systems, election management solutions, identity management, and related government technologies, including smart city applications like public safety and transport. Smartmatic was founded in 2000 in the United States, initially incorporated in Delaware and headquartered in Boca Raton, Florida, by 3 Venezuelan engineers, Antonio Mugica, Roger Pinete, and Alfredo Jose Anzola. The company emerged in response to issues like the 2000 U.S. election hanging Chad controversy in Florida. Oh, yeah. It all comes together, you know? It gained early prominence by providing voting machines for Venezuela ahead of the 2004 referendum under Hugo Chavez. The company expanded globally, supporting elections in over 35 countries across 5 continents and processing more than 6.5 billion votes with no reported security breaches, according to its own claims and various international observers. Role in U.S. elections. In the United States, Smartmatic's technology has been used only in Los Angeles, California during the 2020 elections and beyond. Its voting systems there focus on voter check-in and ballot marking, but do not count, tabulate, or store votes. I don't know. Current status as of January 2026, Smartmatic continues to operate as a global leader in election technology, offering VVSG 2.0 compliance systems. In short, Smartmatic is a long-established London-based election tech firm with U.S. roots, best known for secure voting solutions worldwide.
Is that Wikipedia?
No, this is Grok.
Okay. Well, it's probably pulled from Wikipedia, but
yeah,
it mentions the Venezuelans, and then it doesn't mention that it's based in London until the end.
Yeah. Well, it's based in London now, but Wikipedia is one of the 61 sources.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I don't mean to sound like a pessimist, but fool me once.
What's the George Bush? What's the W quote? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, hey, you're not going to fool me again.
Yeah, something like that. I'm the decider. And the axis of evil.
I got to get the actual quote here.
Yeah.
It's important to me. There's an old saying in Tennessee. I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me. You can't get fooled again.
It's funny to me how much people equate the ability to speak, like to read off a teleprompter as intelligence. It really goes to show how important people hold rote memorization over actual knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, what's his name? Isaac Newton died a virgin because he was horribly awkward, right?
Is that true?
Yes, it is. Bear with me on this. You can fact check me, but bear with me on this. I'm saying his theories now would be disregarded because he was not a good speaker, so he would seem stupid.
Yeah. I think the theory is that he was autistic or some sort of autism.
Well, that would totally track with making up a law of physics based on an apple. And I'm definitely not making fun of him.
Yes, virtually all serious historians agree that Isaac Newton almost certainly died a virgin. That's pretty wild. The first incel.
Yeah. Oh man.
Let's see. Goat's dropping some data. Top CEO of Smartmatic was recently arrested for election bribes. Really? I'm gonna have to look that up. When foreign influence controls our elections, it doesn't matter who votes. It matters who counts the votes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
well, you saw what happened in Georgia, Fulton County. Yeah, we fully counted 315,000 illegal votes. By the way, Trump only lost by like
11,000. Yeah.
I don't know if this. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that's what they were trying to like put him in prison for, and they arrested all of his lawyers, like Jenna Ellis, for trying to just audit the election and find those 11,000 votes. Meanwhile, they processed 300,000 illegal votes.
Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell.
That is treason. You know, so to rig an election is treason. They just don't even care. They've gotten away with it for so long that they just are getting like, they're getting a little too comfortable with it. And they like to, it reminds me of like serial killers where they like kind of, part of them wants to get caught, or they want to like, they want to put it out there. Like they want their crimes to be seen. They want to be able to rub their crimes in your face a little bit. What were you going to say, Adrian? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know if it changes your guys' perspective, but Adam Kinzinger just came out and was praising the move. It's a little weird.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say this is going to be a weird one. I'm excited to see the reaction from mainstream media, but also congressional Democrats to see what they think, because they have to be against everything that Trump does.
Oh, big prediction. Maduro will now be known as release the New York man. It's like he's a Maryland man. He's a New York man. Nicolas Maduro is a U.S. citizen.
Oh no! Here's what the big brain take will be: is now you're bringing Venezuelans to America.
Oh,
so Boasberg will be telling him he has to deport him. Which, now that I think about it, is actually a satire thing I saw this morning.
I mean, trying this guy in New York, I'd rather try this guy in Texas or something. These New Yorkers are gonna, especially if it's some sort of jury trial. I mean, is that really a jury of your peers? Is there some sort of international court? Is it at the UN? What I don't know how this stuff works.
It's federal charges, I'd have to assume.
That's what it said on Grok here.
Federal court is different than state court. So even though it's in New York, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a New York court. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're in the federal system and you get charged in New York, you can end up doing your time in Colorado.
I see. Yeah.
It's a completely different system.
So I just saw that this is 12 hours ago, but Bricks News, this is random, but Bricks News popped up on my feed for 12 hours ago. It says, just in, Chinese officials arrive in Venezuela for talks with President Nicolas Maduro. So apparently there was Chinese officials there last night.
They were probably going to try to talk him out of surrendering. Or they were going to give him the old,
okay.
treatment.
All right. New meme just dropped. Of course, Trump's going to take forever.
Yeah. I hope we get some of that spicy question answering when they ask him stupid questions.
Oh, yeah.
And he fires back.
New meme. I wonder what Vance thinks of all this.
You know, he looks
like a statement from Vance.
Maduro really does look like a character that would have been on The Sopranos. Like just like 2 episodes and they would have got rid of him. But
he does look like an actor a little bit, huh?
Yeah. He doesn't have the wild hair and the long beard.
CEO of Smartmatic is in Florida under federal jurisdiction. Okay, but and then also New York is where the feds filed the charges. China owns Venezuela. I think Trump did this while they were there to let China know how far we can reach. Yeah, it's definitely a message of some kind.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is it's going to be above our heads. We're not going to know.
Yeah.
Kind of like, so if you look at what happened with the guys who went and got bin Laden, who's the guy who killed him? What's his name?
Oh, the Navy SEAL.
Yes, the guy who was everywhere for a while.
Yeah. Oh, I know his name.
They put him on the no-fly list during COVID.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. I'll find it.
Oh man, I was gonna if you had left that picture up, I was gonna roll out the new sound effect here.
Oh man.
I want Trump wins. I want his legacy to be a lasting legacy. I don't want the Dems to get back into control in 2028 and just undo everything that he did. That's kind of my biggest fear. Not my biggest fear, but politically, that's one of my biggest political fears is that, Trump has done so much and sacrificed so much that, I just don't want his legacy. I want it to be enduring, and I don't want the Dems to come in and just undo everything, because there hasn't been that much legislation codifying his executive orders. So I think Vance winning in 2028 is definitely the most important election of our lifetimes.
I think that's been the strategy. I think they stood down in 2024, let him win, because what happened after the win is they've managed to divide the base that was united, and I think had Harris won, that base would have stayed united. And then, going into 2026, they're hoping that they win the House and the speakership so they can start with their impeachments and all their silly nonsense, and that'll just take till 2028. I think so. I'm thinking this has something to do with sending a message to China, as well as the corruption, the voting fraud, because they really got to do something about it. This can't wait anymore. If we have Minnesota coming in with, 3/4 of their population voting blue, when only half their population is registered.
Yeah.
I just picked Minnesota out of a hat, but it's not the only state. Every state that Harris won, Minnesota, California, New York, all these places.
Just saw this one. Breaking: X is now the #1 news app on the App Store in Venezuela. The people of Venezuela are receiving all the unfiltered and truthful news here on this platform in real time. And Elon says, now for the find out part of FAFO. And it looks like Elon and Trump are back together.
Oh, they have
big time.
Since
wasn't Elon like he was somewhere? Was he at the White House or something like that? And Trump walked by him and gave him a little pat.
Well, they've been on good terms since Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And Elon, like right after that, shared a bunch of positive Trump stuff, and he's really gotten his foot back into politics. Realized the America Party was a really, really stupid idea.
I don't think he was ever serious about that. I think he wanted to step away from politics because it was hurting his businesses. And then now I think he's going to start to, once that started to kind of work itself out, I think he's going to get back in and help with the midterms.
He's closing in on being the first trillionaire.
Yeah. What, 750 billion net worth right now?
Yeah, and he's the first one we know about, because we know they're trillionaires. They're not going to be in magazines and stuff.
They're like Saudi princes that own like trillions of dollars worth of oil and stuff like that, which are probably really more wealthy. I remember Elon saying, "I'm not the richest person on the planet. I mean, I can't invade a country." You know, he's kind of referring to Putin. Putin is probably more wealthy. Putin is more wealthy than Elon. Elon is just worth that trillion on paper, basically, because of what his companies are worth at the moment.
See, I would say Putin probably doesn't pay for anything. Anything he wants, he just has.
Yeah.
I don't imagine he pulls out his wallet if he goes down to the grocery, the convenience store for a hot dog. I don't think.
And that's wealth, you know.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bill Gates has free McDonald's for life. Did you know that?
He's not eating it though.
Well, he does actually.
Does he?
Warren Buffett has it for life but only in Omaha. So when you
good old Omaha,
you become a billionaire, you get free stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
So this comment was, I think, in regards to talking about the Dems getting back into power and impeachments and stuff. And he said, agreed. They already said they would. We need Congress to step up. And I totally agree about Congress stepping up to codify more of the EOs. But it just, we're not holding our breaths. I know you aren't either, Goat.
No. Do you remember in the lead up to the election when Jamie Ratskin was like, they can elect Trump if they want to. We won't certify it. And then he had his "We're coming for you" speech. Anyone who helped this administration is going to be punished, not just on the legislative level, but voters too.
Yeah.
Like, people are just completely ignoring, and you get the black pillars and the gripers and, oh, well, you know, he isn't doing everything I want, so we might as well just let the Democrats who do nothing that we want in. And I don't know if it's nihilistic or stupid.
I think it's accelerationism. There's a philosophy of accelerationism that in the there's multiple perspectives of accelerationism. Some of them are pro-America accelerationism and then anti-American accelerationism. I think some of the libertarians and I think the libertarians in Silicon Valley are kind of accelerationists in that they think it's inevitable that the US will decline in power and there will be a rising China, and we might as well accelerate the downfall of the United States. And so, but I think there's been a changing tide. I think Elon was possibly a part of that type of philosophy. I know JD Vance had some ties to some of those Silicon Valley philosophies, but it seems like, and Peter Thiel, but it seems like they've kind of changed their mind maybe a little bit, whether that's what they've seen with Trump or what they've seen, maybe, I don't know, or maybe Elon convinced them. You know, I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes with that, but it did make me a little bit nervous to hear that JD Vance was interested in some of that philosophy there.
Well, Goat's got a good point here. He says that Biden put 250 progressive judges to obstruct Trump at the judicial levels. Not only that, I remember it was the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, when they started talking about Trump proofing the presidency, where they so you kept hearing about that bipartisan border bill.
Yeah.
What they didn't say was in there was a provision that if any way funds for the Ukraine war were cut, it was an impeachable offense. Which is why Trump said to kill it. It had nothing to do with the bill was garbage. It wasn't needed.
Yeah.
But he killed it because of that. Now, and they knew what they were doing. They put him in a position where it looked like he was saying kill the bill so the immigration would still be bad, but it wouldn't have turned around. And he still could have ran on it because he could have been like, this was on purpose. They could have done this 3 years ago. and this is just a vote grab. But unfortunately, on both sides, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and people make up their minds before they have the facts.
Yeah.
And I think it's weakness to change your opinion and your stance on something.
Which really it's a strength to,
It is.
And that's why I like Trump, because he does change his mind based off of the information that comes to him.
Sometimes. Took him a while to come around on Operation Warp Speed.
I haven't heard a full-throated
Have you heard him brag about it recently?
Denunciation. Yeah, I guess no.
No, he stopped talking about it because they're like, listen, your base hates this.
But
And
you know, and it wasn't his fault though.
Mm-mm.
In my opinion, you know, it was the pharmaceutical companies that are creating these things. Like, how would he know?
Well,
You know, I think he's like kind of a typical boomer that was like, you know, the pharmaceutical companies, they create medicine that helps people.
They came to him and said, we're going to give you the opportunity to be the hero.
And then
they told him that
pulled the rug.
right before the debate. And he said it to Biden. They got their time calling him a liar. And then after that, when it came out, it was incredibly unpopular until the Democrats came in and started trying to mandate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, politics, especially nowadays, I would say post 2008 have become incredibly tribal.
Yeah.
Especially once influencers got involved and it became your brand. So you can't go against your brand unless you do. Look at Anomaly. Do you guys remember him? He's like this weird.
Oh yeah, Anomaly. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of fallen off. I haven't seen him much
because he turned against Trump.
Right.
And he built his base of Trump supporters and then turned against him before the election. And he'll
Who
never
was that
win.
again?
Anomaly. It's his Twitter
handle.
Yes.
Dude, that guy drives me crazy. I do not like him at all.
Which I understand, but he was like one of the first. He was with the Cernoviches and the Cernovich, Milo, and then on the other side you had people like Destiny. I'm trying to think who they have. I can only think of modern people because I avoided David Pacman, these kind of Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian. They're very, although Anna's kind of changed, but they're very dug in. Like,
yeah. I'm just checking for responses from top Democrats. No response from Hakeem Jeffries, like no tweets about it. Nothing from Obama, nothing from Elizabeth Warren.
Well, no.
AOC had a pretty typical AOC post where it's like, oh, this is to distract from the Epstein files, and we should be focused on giving Americans cheaper health care, and this isn't about drugs, it's about oil, which I don't think it's about drugs, but I also don't think it's about oil.
It's not about oil.
Explicitly.
Trump has said Venezuela has our oil.
Dude, it was never about the oil in the Middle East either. That was always kind of very simplified, because for one, we didn't even take any of the fucking oil.
Exactly.
If it was about oil, it was about controlling who's buying oil from certain places, but it's not like not just as simple as we got a big bunch of oil, now we're gonna sell oil. Like, it's more complicated geopolitically than that.
We didn't.
Yeah, I totally agree with that assessment.
We didn't take the oil, Adrian, but we did put companies like American oil companies in charge of distributing it.
In Iraq, are you saying?
Yeah.
Are we still doing that?
Of course. So they're making profits, but we don't see any savings. We were never going to see any savings.
Oh, finally. Oh, turn the sound on.
Is it?
I don't hear it. Do you?
No.
We appreciate you being
there.
here.
It is. Here, let me refresh the page.
Late last night.
Sorry.
It's fine.
The United States Armed Forces.
Oh.
The volume's a little low too. They had the volume off. It's about.
Appreciate you being here.
Super low in volume.
Late
Sorry.
last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani,
Why are you bringing that up?
the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites
The greatest hits.
just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All
You might
perfectly
remember me.
executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like maybe like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So We don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana. And we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster and the mayor was a disaster, but it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people. And now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst. They say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari. What happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill. And the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines, and the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist Maduro is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation. This morning, it's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation, a massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America. And again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve, the most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country, deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people, deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us, and deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026. And under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raisin Kane, to give a few more details about the operation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations.
While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets, in early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel. So as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49. And there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And Yeah, exactly. But
Don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet
This
how
isn't a
they haven't
speech.
figured this out. And
This
now
isn't
you
prompter.
don't know. Now you know.
No.
Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think that the message here should be for the world. Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that, I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Question time.
It looks like it.
Please. Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly.
Bummer we
We're
can't
gonna
hear the
rebuild
questions.
oil infrastructure, which will cost
Yeah.
billions of dollars. It'll be paid for.
There
by
was
the
two
oil
big
companies
things that stood
directly.
out to me.
They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it, but we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. They stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
Would run Venezuela?
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time. The people that are standing right behind me, we're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead. I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others. We have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be. You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well,
going?
I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
Well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved.
Sure. We called members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Plus, if I could add one thing to that, Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good. If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point. A lot of ships out there. They sort of knew we were coming. We went there. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
People to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know, the safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it. Go ahead, finish.
To be in the time being right now. Do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me.
that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot. And we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So, with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
How long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. We're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old, it's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and
China
drugs?
and Russia, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying, Mr. President, are you saying that, Mr. President, are you saying that,
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
That you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time. It was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country and they destroyed it. Remember I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly when you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to
He's
our
refusing
country
to
should never
call
be
on that
forgotten.
one chick.
But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was.
Work for the fake
in
news.
terms, I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're going
troops
to be a
to provide?
team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela that are now in the United States. And frankly, some want to stay and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
In the country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're
arrested
very
last night?
protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
And are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba is an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now, very badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about, when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent senile men, and in some cases, not senile but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they were, all of the guards that helped protect Maduro. This is well known. Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit. Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
The answer is yes. Yes. No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President.
Biden wouldn't answer this many questions.
Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial. So it's not going to cost us anything. We will. Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what that was happening, and you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in. They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries. And we also have to have energy, very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look, it was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year is going to be a great thing. And the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Going to send in the U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to
at
get
war
into
with
the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are
Well,
different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that?
Well,
country?
no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Unless it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin. If you want.
About Putin. Well, that's always nice
You had
to
a
talk
phone.
about Putin.
You had a phone call with him
Yeah.
on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't. We
And
never spoke about Maduro.
are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people. I thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1/4, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace, so I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be. One of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, it was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5. And we send them a lot of munitions. We send them a lot of things, missiles and various other things, a lot. And they pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from 2 places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it. Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden, Zelensky, and Putin. I came into the situation.
He's getting fired up right now.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term, that war has become a bloodbath, and we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much, everybody.
So, I think it was funny. We were talking about Iraq and the oil, and I said, well, we were never going to get profits. The oil companies did. And he comes out and he's like, yeah, well, we're going to have the oil companies go in. Not a fan of that. If it's truly what he says it is, where the oil company goes in, gets it running, takes their money for getting it up and running, and then leaves, then it's okay. I feel like our oil companies make enough money.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I have a lot of mixed reactions. I'm kind of in a state of mind where I'm trying not to jump to any type of conclusion on this.
I'm in the same boat.
My leanings are, like I said, I'm very mixed. I have. I kind of just need to see how it plays out. I don't know. I'm worried about more refugees coming in. I'm worried about geopolitical implications other than Venezuela. Like, are we doing this so that we can then go bomb Iran so we have more oil? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios. China might take Taiwan. Maybe that's all hyperbole and this is what it is. But it's just some of my thoughts on the whole situation.
We're being overly cautious. I don't like the fact that they say that we're running the country.
Well, it is honest.
No, it is honest.
You're not pretending otherwise, because obviously you do that.
Well, you have to.
It's honest.
But the way that, I agree, you can't just get him out and leave the vacuum because all the people he picked will just step one up in order.
Yeah, but like Trump said, he's like, they keep doing this and then they leave, right?
Yeah, no,
And so he's saying that's not the mistake that we're gonna make of just taking out the leadership and then just leaving, So that's, and like you said, Adrian, it's like being honest about it. Like, don't tiptoe around it. If we're gonna actually stay there and run things for a bit, that's a huge. I think everybody's rightly concerned about having some sort of Iraq, Afghanistan 2.0 situation, but he does it differently. It's like, we're not just going to go in there and then leave, or we're going to try and, tiptoe around what we're doing over there. And that's actually not what they're doing. And I think that if he can make Venezuela great again, like he said, then maybe that will help the immigration situation, as opposed to having more immigration. We might have even less immigration if they can just keep dictators like Maduro out of there. Then maybe we will have less immigration, refugees, and what have you.
Before, we couldn't deport to Venezuela. That was a huge thing because we don't have a relationship with Maduro. Currently, I saw a post unconfirmed that we are not deporting people to Venezuela right now. It's by a libertarian guy, like, but at the same time, it's like, would you start deporting people right after you've done this? Like, probably not, because who are you deporting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you probably want to just speaking in geostrategic terms, you probably want to stabilize it before you start deporting people back.
Well, you would deport any of the criminals. You'd deport them to El Salvador. And then the people who wanted to return to their homeland because they were forced out because of Maduro could return if they wanted to, to go back to their homeland.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't mean to sound like I'm blackpilling, because I'm definitely not. I do appreciate the honesty. I used to say all the time during the Bush years that what I appreciated about him is what he said is what he was going to do. He didn't come out. He didn't lie. And I think Trump has really shined a light that what the left and the rhinos want are politicians that lie to you, that are going to come out and they're going to just tell you wild stories, and you have no idea what's going on until it happens. The subprime mortgage thing with Bush, they relaxed the regulation to allow bankers to take advantage of people who didn't have the ability to pay back the loans that they were given.
Yeah.
And that was never addressed at the time by either Bush or Obama directly. They kind of danced around it and said a bunch of nonsense. Whereas I feel Trump would have been like, yeah, the banks, they definitely screwed you over. And we had the big bailout right when Obama came in, remember?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm good with it. I'm a plan truster generally. I'm good with it. I'm not even tripping at all. I mean, there's obviously there is cause for concern. But I don't know. I just see it as a display of military might, which I do think that other countries, are going to look at that and go, hey, maybe we shouldn't mess around. And I like that. I think that keeps the world safer, in my opinion. When the US is strong, I do think that the world is safer. I do think when the Democrats get in control, they just kind of like want to see the world burn. And so I think a lot of times, like, somebody who is actually sane, common sense, actually does have the right philosophy of whether that's the Don Roe doctrine or whether it's the peace through strength, Reaganism. I think when you have somebody like Trump at the helm, I think that I'm more I feel a little bit more, I don't want to say safe, but just confident in the decisions that are being made when it comes to foreign intervention. I don't think we can avoid foreign intervention. That's kind of where I'm at. So it's like, we have isolationists like Dave Smith, or even Tucker's going pretty isolationist. and a lot of libertarians, they just don't want any sort of foreign intervention. But I just don't think that that's possible to just retract all of our influence and just put up our walls. I just don't think it's possible to do that. And so we're just kind of in a situation where we have to just be prudential about the actions that are taken. And I'm feeling so much more confident having someone like Trump and Rubio. Ratcliffe, on the other hand, there's something about him I don't trust. I'm not sure what's going on with that guy. But anyway, those are my 2 cents about that isolationism versus extreme interventionism.
As somebody who is generally pretty isolationist, I'm also, my realizations about politics becoming more pragmatic. It's like we have been an empire probably since World War II, realistically, a global empire. So to completely, like, let's say, bring all of our troops home, all of that, become just fortified fortress US, which in my ideal world, everything is produced here, everything is consumed here. Fuck the global economy be damned. It's one of those things where that's just not realistic as a proposition to just say we're going to do that. Like, in theory, is it possible? Maybe, but the implications of that to everything, it's the just going my principles libertarianism. You can't just deny the fact that these things exist. It's the same thing with it, like, dude, let's end the Fed. And it's like, well, yeah, in theory, I still think we should change how the Federal Reserve operates and all of that. But there's just this kind of, it's ignoring what the current reality is and just thinking that the bridge is as simple as doing, all we have to do is just this one simple trick to fix the US situation. It's like, it's not that easy. So I'm actually more sympathetic to your position in terms of like why we do things and why we would care about geopolitics at all, because that's just the world we live in. Now I'd like to see things done a little differently. For my issues with this would be like, is, the motivations and what the actual interests are in play here. I like the idea of going after the cartels, but as I said on a previous show, I'm just skeptical about the reasoning for all this. But I think the best position for me right now is not to pretend that I'm an expert on Venezuela or this situation and to have like, oh, I gotta say my piece. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But you have an isolationist instinct. But
that would be my
ideal.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you about domestic production, though. I think everything should be made here. Everything that can be made here should be made here. There's things like coffee or, there's other things that can't quite be made here. But when it comes to being reliant on a foreign, hostile, rising empire like China, being reliant on them for our medicine and stuff like that, I mean, it's just insane. So I think having a secure, closed border, that's one of those issues that I feel like we haven't really even wrapped our heads around as much, because that's one of the most important issues, especially to you, Adrian. That is one of your biggest issues. You said that's why you kind of finally broke down and voted for Trump, is because of the border. But that border is actually closed. It actually is, for all intents and purposes, is sealed. And I think we're not even going to see the effects of that, the positive effects of that, for a while. And so I think if I would feel less enthused about this action if it was taken by somebody like a Biden administration, and we had an open border. But the fact that the border is closed might be a crucial aspect to this situation.
Well, and my concern, I guess, with this situation is the possibility that Newsom opens the border again in 2029. So that is that whole bounce back between, Republicans do this and then the Democrats, exploit that situation to then bring in a bunch of people, which if you look at the last 40, 50, 60 years, that's usually the pattern, is like, we bomb a country and then the left is like, oh, more refugees, and then they bring them in.
Yeah.
You know, Afghanistan, Iraq, it's like, and that's all throughout Europe. I mean, that's number one. Merkel
And
did that in Germany.
that's why 2028 is the most important election of our lifetime. Every election will be the most important election of our lifetimes, because if these psychopaths get into control again, I mean, like Trump said, I mean, if we would have lost 2024, it would have been Venezuela on steroids. So I think getting Elon back into the fold is making me feel a little bit more comfortable, because I think he kind of, for lack of a better term, I think he rigged the 2024 election, and I'm happy about it. And I think that he's going to help when it comes to the midterms in 2028, because he seems pretty gung-ho about not letting these guys take the wheel again.
Now, regarding the midterms, do you think this situation is beneficial to Trump for 26?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think it's, I go ahead, Steve. Were you going to ask Steve?
Oh, I was just saying, I lost it.
Well, the question is this situation beneficial for Trump and the Republicans for 26?
Yeah.
I do think it is. I think if it's handled well, I think a lot of the nonsense will stop. The bombing of narco boats, which will be a huge thing that they would use. And if we were still doing that all the way up to the election, they could use that. They still try. But, I mean, he can show the end result. He could show it turning around. So, I mean, if we really capitalize on it, we didn't go there for oil. I mean, let's not beleaguer the fact George Bush did get reelected during the second Gulf War. With the no blood for oil, Bush isn't my president, all that stuff, he still managed to beat Frankenstein. So it's not something we can't overcome, but we need to.
But you know, with Bush, his base was largely rhino neocons. You know what I mean? So right now, what I see on X is like a lot of the base has already been fractured, and I'm very skeptical that this is going to unite the dissident MAGA voices that are saying X, Y, and Z. Now, I guess it depends what the outcome is. If we see an immediate benefit, then you can make that argument. I'm skeptical that this is going to motivate the base to vote for Trump or for moderates to vote for Trump, because we know midterms traditionally the incumbent loses. So you need to sway enough people. But most important, you have to motivate your base. So is this a move for the MAGA base? I'm skeptical of that.
I see it differently. I think moderates and independents are going to like this action. If he can successfully pull off a regime change with a socialism or a socialist dictator, and actually have a smooth transition and not drag us into a war, I think that independents and moderates like that. I think that he's going to win over the north. As far as the dissident right goes, I think that's a little bit more of an X thing. I don't think that normal people are as plugged into politics the way that a lot of like the dissident right is, and like they're not as ideologically motivated. The normal people just want a strong country that isn't being taken advantage of, that has cheap gas and oil and fuel and stuff. And if we have cheaper energy, we will have better prices at the grocery store and at the gas pump. That's, I think, what motivates the normal person. Not like this, like all these niche issues that people really go down into rabbit holes on X. I really do have that. That's just my opinion. I just don't think that X is like real life. And there is a lot of control and there is a lot of important stuff that happens on there. But I do think that the fracturing of the base, I don't think the base is fractured. I think that people like Candace Owens or Fuentes or whoever, I think that they like to think that they are fracturing the movement, but I think that generally what I see on MAGA is like a lot of people are just very happy with Trump's performance. Maybe there's a little bit of a frustration with not getting the justice and seeing like people like John Brennan or Fauci in cuffs or whatever. Like, I think that's the most frustrated, that that the actual base is with Trump.
Get voting fixed. I don't care about people getting arrested, because if you don't fix voting 2026, none of them will go to jail anyhow. But being children, insist only upon voting. That is all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, if this is a play for that, to show the fraud and something actually gets done about it in Congress, if you need to convince the rhino moderates, like, hey, this is our opportunity to do X because of an issue that you might support, or whatever the reasoning, then that that would change the calculus for the midterms significantly. I mean, I think both Steve and I and all of us harp on the issue of voter security and election security, all that, because that's what allows Tim Walz to get elected in the first place. That's what allows probably Biden to obviously to get elected in 2020. So going forward, that, again, I'm like a 90% domestic guy, because it's like what's close to home, but I'm also not going to deny the impact of geopolitics. I just think that 90% of our energy should be utilized in focusing on domestic issues, and as much as humanly possible.
No, I completely agree with that, but I don't think we're as divided as we think we are. And I think when it comes down to it, when it comes time to vote, I bet you there was a lot of gripers who secretly voted for Trump, because nobody wants the other side. You go online, you say ridiculous things to try to get paid, to create controversy, but at the end of the day, nobody wants what the left is selling. They're fighting amongst themselves. The Chuck Schumers are fighting with the AOCs. Mamdami's already setting himself up to fail. He picked a fire department chief who's never fought a fire. The last time identity politics went into something like that in a major city, half of Los Angeles burned down. It happened last year, less than a year ago, because they picked a diversity, lesbian woman as the fire chief who didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah, I mean, they put people in positions of power based on their support of
fabulous. And I think that's going to backfire extremely hard. There's a big pushback against all the. Did you guys see any pride nonsense like you had the years before in June? No.
There's definitely a reduction.
People are sick of it. It's not an issue you can run on anymore. And they fractured their own base because they pander to 10 different groups that have 7 different positions that are contradictory. You can't do it anymore. They have to, if they want to win on a consistent basis, they have to build coalitions.
That was the Obama coalition, was a conglomeration of different minorities that felt like they had a similar, they were basically able to pull the wool over their eyes, all these different minorities, and make them feel like all of their priorities and political beliefs were actually in line with each other. And politics does make for strange bedfellows, and sometimes you do have to team up with people that you might disagree with on this thing, but you do agree on a bigger, broader thing. But the problem is I think they thought that coalition of minorities was going to be the lasting coalition, especially if they were able to open the border. But I do think that they ended up being wrong, kind of like the demographics is destiny type of doctrine. I think it failed. And I think a lot of the minorities started to kind of realize they don't have much in common with some of the other minority groups. And like you said, Steve, I think people are kind of sick of like all the moralizing and virtue signaling and all the like shoving the gay stuff down everybody's throats. I mean, they always complained about, I'm sure you guys have heard this or maybe even said it, is don't shove your religion down my throat, or like I grew up with like my family shoving their religion down my throat. I don't know why that's the phrase. Yeah, it's a talking point, but they become the thing that they hate. They've just been shoving this stuff down everybody's throats, and everybody's just kind of over it. So, which is a very happy outcome to me.
I'm very glad it's over with because it was very over aggressive for a very, very long time. I think if you talk to Hispanic people who are here legally, they are the biggest proponents of deportation because they did it the right way.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the left messed up and in cities like Chicago, and this is why voting regulation is so important. In cities like Chicago, people, African Americans that are struggling are seeing these people coming in from other countries who are given hotel rooms and debit cards and free phones and EBT cards with no nonsense. They don't have to look for a job. They just get to exist.
And they were like, oh, hell no. Nah. Oh, hell no. Nah. You going to give them free hotels and cell phones and checks in the mail?
Oh, yeah. Debit cards. And I think they thought that they were just on, not to use a racial slur, but they thought they were on the plantation, and they were finding out that they are not.
Yeah.
Lyndon Johnson was wrong. He didn't have it for 70 years. Turns out it was more like 50. And there are people who will vote Democrat their entire life because that's what their dad did and their grandfather. And they're same on the right as well.
Yeah.
But people who want to make up their own minds, they're finding their own people. They're finding alternative news sources and, Nick Shirley and his reporting. And they can't debunk what happened. So they're attacking him. So we'll catch you later, buddy. They're nitpicking little stupid things here and there about it. Oh, well, he's a MAGA reporter. Well, does it change the facts? Does it change the fact that the Quality Learning Center is the one that, the sign, the person in charge of that for the state said it was closed. And then the next day they're bringing kids in, closed for a bunch of violations. And the next day they're bringing kids in like they do it every day, or that guy's wearing $2,500 glasses to talk about how he needs taxpayer money.
Do you think South Park's gonna do a parody of the Quality Learning Center? Because man, people have been posting those memes like this is prime material for South Park, right? They're gonna do it, right?
Did you hear about the South Park writer who bought the Trump Kennedy Center website and posted a bunch of nonsense all over it? No. I don't know that it's so much Matt and Trey who are doing it. They do have a writing staff. People like Bill Hader have been on it. And I think their writing staff has severe TDS. So,
well, they have. I mean, they should, in theory, have editorial control. So they could say, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't do 7 Trump episodes in one season." But
it's successful. It's got everybody talking. Yeah. How are they gonna? Yeah. They made fun of Kristi Noem and her surgery. They made fun of Charlie Kirk. They made fun of Erica Kirk. But no episodes on Biden, where they had said we're not going to talk about Trump because there's nothing interesting there.
It's already been done. It's already been said. It's like there's nothing else. I'm glad that it's losing some of the steam, so that way he can just be a normal president. I like seeing him in that press conference, just not being overly bombastic, really just being nice and calm and straightforward. He gets a couple little zingers in there, but now it's just Trump has kind of been normalized, and I like that. And I think that we're going to see another 3 years of success is my prediction. Hope. Yeah, I'm hopeful. Yeah.
Like the biggest thing I want to point out to anybody who doesn't realize this is Trump came into office and his day one job was to undo everything Obama did. Right. We remember that. And then Biden came in. His day one thing was to undo everything Trump did. Trump came back in. His day one thing was done. We need to make sure that we get enough taken care of so that the next person or the next leftist who gets in office can't just undo all the good stuff that's been changed.
Yeah.
We need judicial reform. I remember Mike Johnson came out it must have been like March, and started saying, hey, you guys want to keep with these nonsense injunctions, which, by the way, the Supreme Court has already ruled that you can't, in California, make an injunction about something happening in Texas unless there is a case in front of you that involves it. It hasn't stopped them. They continue to make them. They're trying to sandbag. So if voting isn't fixed, I don't care how many people go to get arrested. Let's not forget, John Bolton has been arrested.
That's true.
Letitia James and Comey were both indicted, and they were at least one of them was thrown out.
Yeah.
And they refused to re-indict it.
Yeah.
It was thrown out because the state's attorney didn't have the jurisdiction because they were temporary. These are the games they're going to play. This is why I don't care about this right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm off the weeds.
I'm optimistic. I mean, even if I had to make the trade of losing the midterms to win 2028, that's how I feel kind of is probably what's going to happen. So I'm okay with it, but I do think having Elon involved, they were able to pull off the 2024 election with, a somewhat of a landslide. So, won all the swing states and the popular vote. That's huge. And I think if he can deliver in the next 3 years economically, he's going to sail through.
If he can, but he can't get Johnson or Thune to do anything. They're doing.
But he was able to get Apple to come over and invest in domestic production. He was, I you're right about that. But he was able to get a lot of these companies to at least say that they were going to invest in domestic production. And if that really does end up happening, that's a huge game changer. If Trump can get the US to actually be a manufacturing leader in AI robotic manufacturing and get the energy, because these guys need the energy. And so if he can provide the energy, or at least provide the pathway for these companies to get the energy that they need for their AI data centers and their AI robotics manufacturing, that could be a serious game changer for the US, the likes of which, like, it would actually be a golden age, and we wouldn't have to worry so much about China. We wouldn't have to worry so much about Russia, and we could fix a lot of the problems that we have here at home that
I agree with you, but here's the problem. They can lay the groundwork, and then some lefty administration comes in and allows them to take all of that off of American soil, which is exactly what'll happen. And they'll bring it to some third world country that doesn't have all the environmental stuff, and they'll be running them, and that's what'll happen.
But I think Vance is going to wipe the floor with Newsom. I mean, Newsom, he is a slick politician, and I do think he's dangerous, and I think that he is he's good at politics. But I think the American people are going to see through his slick sleaziness, and they're going to look at Vance and go, he's actually makes sense. He's not emotional. He's not trying to like do a used car salesman type situation. He had a successful term as vice president with Trump. I think we're good in my
I don't know about that, because I have been told that Gavin Newsom is a mega Chad and he mogs JD Vance, and he has such an amazing family, and he is I'm clavicular, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. God damn it.
Fabulous.
That whole shit, can I just that whole thing about, God damn it, dude. How gay are you guys right now? You're literally going to vote for Newsom because he's more attractive? What is going on?
That's been their brand for years. Like the
it's
vapid,
delusional.
Bill Clinton was not a great lawmaker. He was a charismatic guy, and he got elected solely on being way more charismatic than George Bush and Ross Perot.
Yeah. And underestimated too. There is something. Knowles was talking about this because that was Knowles's interview. But Knowles was talking about the underestimating. A lot of the presidents that do get elected are underestimated, and so Newsom is essentially trying to double down on some of that stuff and like get it go with the memes about how he mogs JD Vance or whatever. And that he's more, but the problem is that he's setting himself up as an overestimated candidate as opposed to an underestimated candidate. Same thing with Trump. Trump was underestimated in that it's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's never had held public office anymore, or he's never held public office, and he's actually a big old dummy and an idiot. But then he gets in there and actually does a really good job. And same thing with Bill Clinton, I think was underestimated, and
he was.
Same thing with George W. Bush too, was underestimated because everybody's like, oh, he's a big old dummy. Look at his stupid little like gaffes and stuff like that. He's a dummy. But that there is a political capital in being underestimated. And I think Gavin Newsom is doing the opposite thing.
What's funny to me is he keeps trying like to make Gavin great, whatever that make America Gavin it. All that crap has completely backfired on him.
Yeah.
People make fun of him relentlessly because they do not understand how to be funny. There are that can be funny on the left, some of them, but the politicians don't understand how to be funny. They don't understand how to connect with people. They're the kind of people that'll say you need to stay in your house, and then they go to the French Laundry. You need to stay in your house, but I'm going to fly to Florida where it's open.
Yeah.
It's a disconnect. And I think until they fix that, they're really going to struggle with it.
I think independents see through some of this shit at this point. I think a lot of independents aren't really, and the reason why I bring up independents is because it is good to motivate the base, of course. Yeah. But I think independents really do kind of decide a lot of elections. And so I think a lot of them are just over this emotional manipulation BS, and I think they're going to come to their senses. And I think the independents aren't going to really forget what the Dems did with Biden. I mean, just what they did is just so unforgivable. You can't even write it. It's like a horrible sitcom or something. It's just like a sitcom / horror movie that they did, for 4 years. I mean, it's just insane. And I don't
roll it now.
Mm-hmm.
They got Jen Psaki. They got what's her name there? Jesus Christ, Karine Jean-Pierre. They have these people. They have all the pundits saying, "Well, we should have been more open."
The Jake Tappers and
but they're not mentioning the fact that they, let's not forget Keith Olbermann. This is the sharpest Joe Biden's ever been. Right after the debate where Trump's like, you don't even know what you said. And I just was watching something this morning. I kind of want to get your take on it. That I think the goal originally, had Biden performed okay in that debate, would have been to get him reelected and then have him step down with the cancer that they managed to not diagnose, even though it was stage 2 or 3 already.
And then we got Kamala.
We would have had
as the first female president.
And they would have steered into the marketing, and they would have accelerated. More people in, more speech restriction, digital ID, central bank digital currency would all be rolling out right now.
We dodged a bullet, at least for now.
So let's not get back in the way of the bullet, is what I'm saying. But anyway.
Well, guys, that was interesting. It was kind of like a piece of history, watching a piece of history there. I am happy that I don't know. I'm generally happy with the current outcome of like basically a bad guy getting what he deserved.
I didn't realize they had U.S. Marshals there, because that's what I keep picturing is now Tommy Lee Jones like walking up on him with a warrant.
Yeah, serving a warrant. But like Adrian's got good points about the concerns and the aftermath, and we're just going to kind of have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say Dave Smith had a post where he was actually not what you would think like a hysterical libertarian about it. He was
Not his usual self.
Yeah, he said, well, that was the quickest regime change I've ever seen or remember reading about. I have to admit, I'm surprised and frankly impressed that they got Maduro out so quickly. But then he kind of goes, he kind of draws on some of my concerns. But he's basically like, I hope what comes next is better for the people of Venezuela and the region, but I'm not optimistic. We'll basically just wait and see.
Yeah.
He was more negative than that, but I was just pointing out some of the things where I'm like, well, at least he's not one of those foaming at the mouth libertarians who's just going to completely reject it just because of X, Y, and Z. But
yeah.
I'm skeptical. That's my position right now. I don't have I'm not going to become hysterical about it.
But that will be better for the show, though. That will be better for our live streams, is if you're hysterical. And
That's
then
true.
I can for once, I can be the logical, unemotional voice of reason.
Hold on, I got you.
Luckily, I never take up that space of being logical, reasonable.
Well, I was kind of thinking about maybe jumping on a space if you guys want to. We can do a space. We haven't done one in a long time. I mean, later today, if you guys are available or interested. Space is easier because you could just have your phone on and kind of do other stuff, and maybe other people can join in. So
yeah,
so
that'd be fun. I mean, we haven't done one in like a year almost.
A year, yeah.
I mean, I'd be down for that.
Cool.
I was saying maybe like 4 o'clock my time. Give me a couple hours to get some stuff I got to get done around the house, get in the right mindset, charge my phone up. But I'm definitely down.
Okay. Well, let's play it by ear. It's my stepson's birthday today, so I'm gonna see what we're gonna do, and then but yeah, let's play it by ear and try to jump on a space and maybe chop it up with some of the other peeps. You know, get some other opinions in here.
Right. That'll be fun.
All right, guys. Well, I'll be in touch.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.